Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is interested to look at what the panel is going to discuss. First of all, thank you for being here and to understand different perspectives from the HR landscape from esteemed leaders across various industries. So I'm really excited because the today's discussion promises to be a fascinating discussion on leadership and change management in times of strategic transformation. We will delve into topics which will be relevant for all of you who are looking for some insights. So a little bit about myself. So I'm Shrikant. So I'm a partner with the business consulting services of EY. I'm based out of Hyderabad. And I'm really honored to basically moderate this panel containing some of the esteemed guests from varied industries. We are looking forward to this discussion. So about change management as such, right? So we are living in an era which is filled with changes all over the world, be it in terms of technology or shifting market dynamics, or global disruptions, right? So the leaders are being pushed constantly to not just, survive, but also stay ahead of these changes. If at all they need to make their organizations truly successful, they need to preempt these changes and manage them more effectively. So we're going to learn today from the leaders on my left as to how they have dealt with those changes in their own organizations, what lessons they have to share with all of us, and we'll be navigating through all these discussion today. Today's discussion will explore also, how do we foster the culture of innovation, and how do we balance the employee engagement along with the innovation, and more importantly, the crucial role of communication in change management. How do we manage change more effectively through communication is something that we're going to delve deeper. So without much further ado, I'll just dive right into the topic, right? Probably first question to Mr. Sudhir on, when you think about leadership, right? There are various ways people approach leadership, and there are various ways people define leadership. So I just wanted to understand from you, Mr. Sudhir, uh, how do you define effective leadership in the current environment? And has your approach shifted over time? So over to you, sir.
First of all, at the outset, very good morning to all of you. And I would like to extend my thanks to the organizers here for giving me such a platform to express the views in terms of subject what we are talking about now. Now, coming back on the leadership subject. Before that, just let me give you my introduction. I am Sudhir Borgaonkar, and I have got 3 decades plus experience whole into the automobile industry. And I represent a group called BJR Group, which is from Hyderabad. And we are the channel partners for reputed brands like Ashok Leyland, Mahindras, Hero, Stellantis. And these are the brands which we deal with. We are the channel partners across Telangana. And going forward, we have plans to jump into exports and many other diversifications, which I am taking up in my group. Now, carrying this kind of a baggage of experience, I was in Africa also for quite 7-8 years, heading a company there, again in the automobile. So having a diverse experience of domestic as well as international, I have seen a very good mixture of different mindsets at my position as a leader, handling the companies. All right. Now, when we talk about leadership, what exactly leadership mean? There are different versions on the leadership, right? So, in my view, leadership is not all about plans, strategies, or organizations. Leadership is all about people. It is people who build the company. It is people who build the organizations. Today, you take any organization which is successful, which we talk about, it is because of the people, right? So, people, motivating people is a leadership. In other words, I would also say that leadership is not about power, it's about empowerment. When you empower your team, give them a platform to perform, to come out with their calibers, they'll outperform. But if there is no platform being given, and it's only if you have one-way traffic, if a leader talks about, then your team will not come out. All right. Now, even in the typical environment, if you take the other side of the coin, even in our own families, we have our kids and all that. We discuss with them, they come out with some beautiful ideas. Same thing applies in the organizations today. You know, a leader, those days have gone. It was a one-way traffic in those days. When I started my career, it was a bossism. There was no leadership at that point of time. It was only bossing around. Just call XYZ, fire them left, right, center, and you have to bloody well do the job. That's all about it. I don't know. But today, it will not work out. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of HR professionals here. I would say, in my opinion, I was talking in the morning also over a cup of coffee with one of such a delegate here. I would say in the organizations, what I'm seeing over 35 years now, in today's context, the HR role has become so important because every organization, you take from the topmost organization to the lowest one, every organization is having a great difficulty in getting the right manpower at right time, where the HR plays a very vital role. So, today what is happening, marketing a product is not that difficult because of the digitalization which has happened. And I would say that it is a blessing in disguise. COVID we have undergone in 21. Everybody thought after COVID, all businesses will collapse. But it happened vice versa. All right? Post-COVID, in fact, businesses have prospered, started prospering. And that is where the digitalization has increased. Now, with the digitalization which has increased, the leadership role has become slightly narrowed down because you need not have to have so many meetings. It's all on the digital platform. Everything is available. Self-communication kind of a style, right? So today's leadership role in any organization is like, you have to take your team along. You have to set an example. You can't make your team isolated and only demand from them. No, they will not leave. They will not stay with you. That's what is happening in the organization. That's what I said. HR role has become very, very crucial in any organization now today to get the right manpower at right time. So it should be an inclusive leadership where your team will come out with brilliant ideas and then you pick up which suits and go ahead and give them the credit. See, the appreciation also is required to the team. Today, organization, end of the day, money is not the end of the story here for each an employee. He wants to grow in the organization. He wants to build his career in the organization where he expects the appreciation to his comments, to his ideas. But in some of the places I have seen, a leader doesn't give credit, then the team will not gel with him. So these kind of situations which are coming up on ground in every organization, right? So going forward, I would say, or in the current scenario also, a leadership role also has become a big challenge where you are not confined to only cabin. No, you have to come out of cabin, gel with the team, understand them, appreciate them, have a collaborative approach. Then the performance will come automatically, which in my whole kind of 35 years, I have seen, I'm experiencing, and I'm enjoying those results also. That's why I could say so authentically and so confidently.
Thank you, sir, for those insights. I think those are wonderful insights where you talked about the inclusive leadership, involving people to perform or to outperform themselves, and also empowering them to take their own decisions. So these are very important insights. And also moving from there, just a segue around change management, right? So most of the times the change happens both ways, where you're forced to change because of certain competitive landscape or your competitors are disrupting you. And sometimes you change because you want to bring that change out in the market. You want to be the disruptor. But both these changes need a lot of sponsorship and also buy-in from the right stakeholders. So we have Rashmi, who is the leader of RICH, the Research Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. I'm sure being the leader of RICH, Rashmi, you would have faced a lot of challenges around getting all the people or stakeholders on board with a certain change. So what has been your experience, and would you talk about some of the change management practices that you follow?
Sure. First of all, a very good morning to all of you, and a big thank you to the organizers for having me on this panel. It's really a pleasure having to be interacting with all of you and the fellow panelists. My name is Rashmi Pimple, and I head one of the Government of Telangana initiatives called RICH, Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. And before delving into the answer, I would take a couple of minutes to tell you what RICH is, what we do, and probably that will give you an idea of where I am coming from. We are one of the first innovation ecosystem partners started by the Government of Telangana. I'm sure some of you may be aware of your work. You may have seen us on the social media and so on, may be familiar with the kind of work we do. Our role basically is to act as a facilitator, as an enabler. We were started by the Government of Telangana because the state government realized that there is so much expertise available in Telangana in terms of research institutions, startups, industry, but there has to be a bridge which brings all of them together, which brings them on a common platform to solve some really big complex problems. And that was the genesis of RICH, and that was the mandate with which RICH started. We operate in 3 areas: life sciences, food and agriculture, and sustainability. And in each of these areas, we have a single focus of fostering innovation and improving the innovation index of the state and the country as a whole. Now, coming back to the question that Srikanth asked, change means uncertainty. We all know that. And deep down, we also know that how important it is for the organization or even at a personal level to undergo change for growth. But there are also jitters when we talk about or when we think about change. We want to change, but at the same time, we don't want to change. So it's important that we embrace it, but having said that, it's not an easy job. And if you look at the kind of work we do, our role is to, like I said, to bring together different stakeholders. And these stakeholders are very, very diverse. It's industry on the one hand, it's research institutions on the other side, it's startups on the third side, then there is the government side, and sometimes our projects also involve NGOs. So you will appreciate the kind of buy-in or the kind of dialogues that we have to make between all of these different stakeholders. I'll just give you one example where we built a consortium for project. As you know, India has now launched its national mission on green hydrogen. So we are involved in building a green hydrogen valley for the state of Telangana. And that requires all of them to come together to actually work on it. And some of our work has been with the colleagues from EY, with Srikanth. So in this case, each of the entities has a very, very different mandate. Their priorities are different, their timelines are different. If you look at industry, they want quick results. If you look at startups, they want quicker results. And if you look at some of the institutions, they have their own timelines and the pace at which they work with. So bringing all of them together becomes a very daunting task. And that is where the challenge of bringing all of them together, seeing how, what kind of dialogues, what kind of messaging we give to all of them, that becomes critical. And that is where I think the real challenge has been for us. And thankfully, we've been able to have those conversations, have those dialogues, and been able to successfully form a consortium for these high-impact projects.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think those insights are really useful. The points that you mentioned about having a consistent dialogue among the stakeholders and having that kind of a message being sent out to them as to what is the objective of bringing all of you guys together, what is that we want to achieve, keeping them objectively focused on the outcome is, I think, one of the key insight that we can all take out. And while she's working with some of the large, government level projects around green hydrogen, these are some of the large projects where a host of stakeholders are involved. But I think the same principles apply for the changes that we want to bring in our organization as well. So I think, thanks Rashmi for those insights. Moving to Sunil, right? So Sunil, as a leader of Plural Tech, right, as a CEO of Plural Tech, you must have overseen a lot of changes in your company over time. So how do you see communication as in communication's role in change management? And as a leader, as a CEO, how do you communicate, or what learnings that you have learned over time around communication and change management? Over to you, Sunil.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Again, a very good morning to everyone. Nice to be here. So I'll just jump directly to answering that question. If you would like to know more about Plural Technology, just you can go to Google and type in Plural Technology. We are an enterprise software services and products business. So yeah, I think communication, right? I think not only leaders, so every human being, okay, is required to communicate well to be successful in their own life. Think about communication between you and your spouse, or okay, you and your children, and you and your boss, and anything, right? Communication is key. There are a lot of proverbs which talk about if you keep your tongue in control, I think you can win the world, right? So I think there is a lot of wisdom in all those things, frankly. I think communication is key, okay, and it is even more important for a leader. I think the stakes are very high. You make one wrong statement, and I think the whole world collapses, especially if you're a publicly listed company, you know what happens to your share price. If you are still a large private company, you know, okay, what happens within your own, okay, business units and departments, there is no cooperation. And I think what are the foundations, okay, for good communications, right? I was fortunate to ponder upon these things over a period of time, and I think, like you mentioned, over the last 2 decades leading Plural, I think every few years you learn something new because you're faced with reality on, okay, what you did. When I was very young, probably I would have returned an email quickly. When you don't like something, you write back. What happens, you know, everything's on fire, right? So today I wouldn't. I'd sleep over it. I'll take a day, 2 days. So there's some foundations like that which are very common sense, nothing great. But the impact is huge, okay? It's huge. Don't respond to anything quickly. And then comes, when you're communicating to someone, you should know your audience definitely well, especially if you're talking about corporate setup here. You're either talking to your employees, or you're talking to your vendors or customers and partners. If you know who they are, and if you can empathize with them, the communication becomes so much easier. So you're already speaking their language. You're not trying to win them. You're not trying to negotiate with them. You're not trying to push anything onto them. You're not manipulating them. And I think one step down, okay, how do you build that? I think it comes from genuinity and authenticity. And you cannot fake genuinity and authenticity. If you fake, the other guy knows it. I think if you are a leader, I think that is the fundamental quality. You have to be genuine and authentic in your communications, and every single communication will build trust because people know you're very authentic. They can trust in what you're saying, and that is the communication. And the content of the communication is trusted. And when the content is trusted, actions are expected and actions are delivered. When the foundation is not there for an authentic communication, I think you lost the conversation, you lost, okay, the results that you wanted out of a communication. I could give you a lot of examples. Okay, a very frank, honest communication to your own employees, to your customers, actually, in contrary, okay, helps you build. Told a customer that we cannot do something when they asked, there's a huge project, and they asked us, can you do all of this? That's too big for us to handle. We said, we cannot do all of it, but we can only do one piece. And they said, okay, you can try this, and if you do well, okay, you can also try to help on the other areas. We'll give you an opportunity to learn on the project. This project started in New York in late 2009. They're still our customers. I don't know how many ever number of years it is, as an example. So I think when you are communicating, okay, genuinely and honestly, I think the payback is huge. Same applies to employees. We see this a lot when you're restructuring your business units. I've seen many times. We have at least navigated 3 big economic downturns in my own tenure founding this company. So every time you go through an economic downturn, you go through business restructuring, figuring out, you understand what business units are not functioning well, and there are only 2 options. You let people go, or you ask them to move to another unit, okay, and that's where the change and everything comes into play. And how well you are communicating, okay, the need and how it helps them, and empathizing and everything that I told as foundations would deliver the results. So I think, what I think.
I mean, thank you for those insights, Sunil. I think you touched upon some of the more fundamental, pillars of leadership. Talked about authenticity, having, genuineness in your communication with your employees, and building that trust. So once you lay these foundations with the right stakeholders, be it your employees, customers, or vendors, you will have effective change management as such, right? So thank you for those insights. Probably going back to Rashmi. So as part of Rich and also a lot of innovation and the culture that you drive, how do you see the role of technology in driving innovation? Or, because now we are in a world where there is new technology every 6 months, right? So the people are coming up with use cases, products every 6 months, and our life cycle for our knowledge is also pretty limited. So as a leader of a rich and a governmental body, how do you see role of technology in change management? Is it an enabler or is it a disruptor?
So if you talk about the word innovation, you will notice that the word is in the name of our company itself. We are Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. But having said that, we don't conduct any research, neither do we innovate. Our role is to support people, support startups, support entrepreneurs who are into innovation. And what we do is we help them with different avenues that will scale up their journey, that will fast track innovation in the state. And we do that by giving them access to, say, mentors, networks, industry connects, regulatory affairs, all of that. So our role is basically to act as a facilitator, to act as a convener, and to act as an enabler for anybody who is trying to innovate, who is trying to do newer things, who is trying to bring in newer technologies. And in our experience, a lot of it, to your question of technology being, the driver or enabler, we are seeing that very, very conventional sectors like agriculture are also now using technology, are also now using AI. We all know how AI is disrupting sectors like health as well. So these were originally considered very conventional, very traditional sectors, not directly related to tech as such, but in the current time, we are seeing a major shift where all of these sectors, which were not once considered in the technology domain, are actually trying to use or started using big tech in a very, very big way. So yes, definitely, I mean, the tech revolution is sweeping across all the sectors, and not a single sector. You must have noticed, some of you must have attended the Global AI Summit that happened a few weeks ago. And you would have noticed that not a single sector has been left untouched by tech like AI. So yes, tech is driving innovation in a very, very big way. And for us inside the organization, innovation, like I said, we don't innovate or we don't conduct any research, but innovation comes in the way we do our work. It is about how do we quickly adapt? How do we have an open space where people can actually come and talk about their concerns, raise issues, give feedback very openly. And we are in a space, Rich is in a space which is extremely dynamic in nature. Like I mentioned before, we have to manage relationship with diverse stakeholders, and there are times when you have to adapt very, very quickly because there are some stakeholders that do not come on board quickly, who drop out, or who we have to convince in a very, very non-conventional way. So all of these things. So what we look at is innovation in terms of how we do our work at Rich.
Thanks, Rashmi. I think those are really great insights. Moving to the next question. Sir, with your experience of about 30 plus years, right, as a CEO of multiple organizations, how have you partnered with HR leaders? There are a lot of them today in this room, right? So, how have you taken their support? What are the major challenges that you would have faced with HR leaders? What kind of expectations do you have from a HR leader as a CEO?
Yeah. Now, as I said in the opening remarks of mine, that in today's context, to make any business successful, every organization needs right manpower at right time. Then only the organization is successful. And that is where the HR plays a very, very vital role in bringing those people on time. Now, in generally, I have seen in many of the organizations, many places, the general thinking of an HR is, once I bring in manpower, the candidate is selected, my job is over. No, that is not over. The HR role is a big gamut in the organization, right? The day candidate is inducted in the company, he's new to the culture, he's new to the business. So HR plays a role of a catalyst between the management and the employee to make him feel comfortable, make him understand what organization is all about, what organization's vision is all about, so that he feels secure, and time to time give him some kind of trainings, because this is very, very vital. Even though a candidate is experienced, he might be having experience in his earlier company on a different culture, on a different platform, but when he joins Y company, it's a different culture and a different platform. So HR's role becomes very vital in that case to make it successful, in the sense, make the candidate feel comfortable and start performing. Because any organization will give a time of, in today's context, 6 months for an experienced person. Okay, you understand, and then you start performing, right? So HR comes into the picture to make the candidate's career or the span which he works in the company successful by interacting with them, by communicating with them. Now, often, as elaborately Sunil has expressed in his remarks in terms of what about the communication. Now, often it is understood in a different way. Communication means, a general meaning, everybody will take it as speaking. That is communication. No. Communication also is a good listening. Good listening is also communication. All right. So unless you listen what the other person wants to say, what he intends to say, you will not be able to give him a right decision. You will not be able to take a right decision. So communication is very important, where the HR role comes again in the organization, I would say. That's why I just wanted to add on further onto that. So listening is a very, very important part of communication. We generally listen to answer. Mostly, we generally, the moment somebody is talking, saying, we immediately will try to answer to that counter. Listen first, what he tries to say completely, then you react to that. All right. So that is how, in today's context, I said the HR in the organization, even though HR role is something, it's a vague role, rather, I would say. It's a vague role. There is nothing that, in the sales, you have specific targets, specific turnovers to be achieved. But in HR, it's not like that. So but the role is very big in the organization. HR plays in every aspect. The HR involvement is required, the management. All right. So I would certainly feel going forward, or in the current context also, the organizations everywhere pan-India are really struggling to get the right people. So HRs really have a very, very vital role, very important role to play for the success of the organization, I would say.
Great, Sudhir sir. I think you touched upon some really important topics. And I get reminded of one joke. I think the best listeners in the current generation are Alexa and Siri, and not humans, right? So humans have lost that capability to listen actively. So I think you put right importance on active listening and how HR can get more insights and be the strategic partner for the growth of the organization. Just Sunil, to you. So with the kind of confluence that we are seeing in technology, and also the way we're also seeing there is a lot of shift in how Gen Z looks at work, and Gen Alpha, who are coming in, who will probably come into the workforce in few years' time, how they are looking at work, right? So what is your view on how the leadership of future is going to look like? And what kind of stereotypes that we need to shatter, or we need to think newly?
Yeah, I think world is changing at much faster rate than ever before, right? So today you have an AI assistant for anything. I'm driving to this conference and I have a call from one of our partners. They're heavily into branding, packaging, and stuff like that. Okay, he would say, no, I have an idea for a generative AI which should automatically generate a lot of branding materials, stuff like that. So in every conversation, you're seeing that there is things automated. You're talking about bringing down 2 or 3 hours spent to 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, so think about what it does. That just means that there is a lot more time available to make right decisions. So leaders should become good decision makers. If you see a lot of leadership related talk and qualities that are required, you'd hear about being able to make sound decisions in times of ambiguity, but also quick decisions. So the time available doesn't mean that you have more time. Leadership is always about acting in critical situations like war-like situations. So you should be able to act faster, but you're gaining on time through all the automation and Gen AI or anything that's happening today. I think that time should be well spent, amongst the employees and associates to equip themselves in making sound decisions. That means, though machine learning is building the AI technology to learn what human beings are doing, but it can't do everything. So we are creators of a lot of AI and Gen AI apps, and I'm saying that with all these apps, you can only improve productivity, and they can only be assistants. You can model even sometimes, you're talking about modeling empathy into these models, AI models. That is impossible to start with. Human is human, human decision making would never go away. But the point is being able to leverage this new technology to make right decisions is very key. So teaching how to leverage these models, and AI and new technology is very important. Just take a simple example about when Google started becoming the go-to search engine. Everybody would go to Google. So today, literally for anything, you would go to Google. But how much can you trust the information that's there? Google doesn't create that information. Anybody can create posts on it. It's available somewhere. It's indexed. You look at it. What is the authenticity to that information? How accurate is it? What are the facts? I think that comes from wisdom, that comes from fact checking, that comes from a lot of learning you have. If you don't have fundamental knowledge about some subject, you end up thinking whatever is available on the top of the results, you think that's the right information. That's why Google says, okay, there's an option called I'm feeling lucky, right? So that is just a lucky answer. Okay, it's not a real answer. So I think I would say the important skill we need to have is we need to learn more and more, okay, to be able to differentiate between what is right and wrong, right decision versus wrong decision. And that can only happen with more and more knowledge you could gather, okay? And I think that is a very important trait. So you don't have to be trained on learning a new software, new technology, new tool, and all that is gone. It's a commodity today, right? GPT and a lot of stuff does everything for you. So now choosing how much of that is appropriate, right, and okay, what you do and what you not do is the important skill. I think that should be about future leaders and future employees learning, okay, how to use information and how to use the results of these highly automated results that are coming out. Otherwise, I think you are again publishing a lot of stuff and using a lot of stuff that is not reliable. I think you could get a presentation done in 1 minute or 2 minutes, as a lot of advertisements say, but would you get a result out of it if you did not, okay, vet it and make decisions on, okay, how you use that information? There might be facts which are absolutely wrong, okay? So that could really, okay, cost your own job, cost your own position in the market and anything. So I would say that's a fundamental, okay, skill future leaders and future employees should have.
Oh, yeah, that I completely agree with you. I think as we are looking at the world is going to get more, I would say, I think the technologies are going to explode, and they say, right, I mean, there is FUD, right, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's only going to increase, right? So I think these are some really key skills that you touched upon around learning and decision making, and also being grounded in terms of understanding what happens on the ground is something which is very important. So probably I think I wanted to ask one final question for all of you. I mean, all of you can respond on that. Just to expand on, you know, what Sunil's point was on what are the key traits of a future leader going to be. So maybe each one of you can also come in with one statement or a sentence as to what is going to be the crucial skill of a leader in the coming future. From you, maybe Rashmi. Yeah.
I think the fundamentals that Sunil talked about are not going to change, be it now, 10 years from now, or even 50 years from now. So that will remain as a basis. But, you know, looking at the complexity of the times that we are in currently, leaders will have to, there has to be a shift in the mindset of how leadership is being looked at. I think the leaders now will have to look at the overall well-being of the employees and continuous learning. When I was in MBA, we learned, of course, as regular MBA's subjects, we learned all of them, but we were told that the only subject that will matter when you go out in the corporate and when you lead organizations is the organization behavior. And that, I think, is the key. Look, taking care of your employees, being vulnerable, being available, and being authentic. I think that is the key.
Yeah, please, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, in my opinion, in fact, the future leader, what is required for a future leadership. See, as we are seeing the environment everywhere, it's very dynamic today. Now, going forward also, the business dynamics are going to be very, very vulnerable. Okay. Now, in that context, what is a leader, what a leadership role becomes important is how you retain your talented manpower, right? Now, in order to retain the talented manpower, the future leaders has to have a collaborative approach. They should have that inclusiveness with the team. You have to have kind of, a friendly atmosphere with your team, even though you are leading the team, but you can't express to them that, no, I am your leader now, you only have to perform, I will not perform. So that will not work out in the future, because you need to give a sense of security, you need to give a sense of career growth path to your team. Then only team will come out, they'll come out with their innovative ideas and they would tend to perform. Innovativeness again also plays important role in the organization today. Change and innovativeness is a constant. It is always, it keeps on changing. You have to keep a watch on that. So leadership role becomes very vital, very crucial, very important going forward, unless it is in a sense of collaborativeness and unless it is in a sense of, giving your team equal platform and a comfort zone to express themselves. It will be very difficult. Again, the ball will go back to HR to get back the manpower then. Okay.
Sunil, you want to add on anything or?
Yeah, I think just a couple of things. So you brought in the word Gen Z, so I thought it's important to make this point. So Gen Z is very different, okay, from anyone else, and some of you might be from Gen Z. The choice of, okay, how you want to spend your money is very different. Okay, you spend a lot more on shoes and, okay, juices and stuff like that, which is very different from what you do. That's on the lighter side, but I think at workplace, I think their demands are very different. I'm seeing they're not very, very accommodating to the practices of the old. They want high flexibility, and I think they give up very soon, actually, on areas, okay, where they cannot adjust to. We're seeing all kinds of stuff in the news. I think accommodating to that requires knowing and empathizing with them. That just means that policies inside the workplace have to really accommodate that. That in no way means, okay, actually you are compromising on productivity or kind of results that you would like. There are a lot of innovative ways you could achieve them. I've seen employees coming from very, okay, A+ grade colleges to employees coming from rural areas. I think there is still a common thread. So sometimes it's not demographics, but I think it is just a generation. They want to move very fast, but at the same time, okay, they should feel very comfortable in doing. So I think these are all very, very delicate and sensitive things on that part of dealing with people of Gen Z. On the other side about digital transformation and the way the world is moving, I think one thing leaders should keep in mind and, okay, leverage is businesses and employees need not become slaves to machines, but you become the master and, okay, the machines become your assistants. I think that mindset is very important. Otherwise, you think you can replace people. Otherwise, you think I buy a machine and it will do everything for me. Not to criticize a very famous product in the market, but I have a product which goes around the home and actually cleans up the whole floor. And, okay, you think that could replace a real human being cleaning it or yourself, but I've seen there are real problems. Okay, if you don't clean it properly, or, okay, if it is stuck with something, it could spread the whole dirt across your home. So there is a lot of, I've seen it myself. So I'm saying, so it's important, okay, to know the limitations of machines and be using them wisely.
Great. And absolutely, I can't agree with you more. I have one robo cleaner in my home. I can understand the problems that you're talking about. So, yeah, I think, just to summarize, we had a very insightful session today, which talks about or delved into, the leadership, the change management, and also how the future of the leadership will look like. And I think leaders from different backgrounds and diverse fields have given their insights around, how inclusive leadership still has relevance, and also having a constant dialogue with your employees is going to keep that culture up. And where Sunil talked about how authentic leadership, how being genuine in your communication is going to, be the pillar of any foundation of change management. I hope all you guys will take these insights and probably apply in your own lives. We have about close to 1.5 minutes left, so we'll be happy to take any questions from the audience or any inputs or comments. We'd be happy to take them right now.